Champions are not born. They're forged. This is about turning the ordinary into undisputed. Available now. Ade Oladipo, brought to you by Undisputed.
What's good, peeps? Welcome to episode
22
of Ade Gman, brought to you by the wonderful guys at Undisputed. Now, the question I get more than any other question now is you guys emailing me since we've done this Undisputed link up. Ade, what's going on with Undisputed? Tell them to fix this. Tell them to fix that. We need more downloadable content. Your prayers have been answered because now, and it's right now, you can get some downloadable content. The monster, the Mexican monster, is now on Undisputed. You know what I'm talking about, don't you?
I know exactly who we're talking about.
Who am I talking about?
We're talking about Dave Benavidez.
Yes.
We may never get to see Canelo versus Benavidez, but we can have an idea by playing Undisputed.
There you
now
go.
Playable
There
character.
you go. So that is now downloadable. Just go to playundisputed.com. And as an extra bonus, it isn't just David Benavidez. Sugar Ray Leonard is on there.
Andy Ruiz.
There you go. Hector Camacho.
Robert Helenius.
Look at him. He's pretty good, isn't he? He's pretty good, this kid.
Seamless.
There you go. There you go. So look, make sure you go to Undisputed, playundisputed.com, download it. And also there are a few things as well that help you fix a few bugs. Because I know, again, a few of you complain. So look, don't say your boy Ade isn't helping you. Anyway, let's get into this one. I'm talking about one Mexican monster to another Mexican monster, Francisco Rodriguez.
Oh, and Mexican monster is the accurate word. Right. I watched the fight live. I knew in the first 10 seconds, GALAL Yafai was in trouble.
That quick.
Man, he literally, he came out of like a greyhound trap. He was just on him like that. And I was like, oh, this isn't going to go well. Like that first round, Yafai was hurt a couple of times. You could see this. He was like, all right, he's nothing to keep this guy off with. And it was a 12 round. I didn't give Yafai 1 round. Yeah. The judges gave him, I think one gave him 2 rounds, one gave him 1.
Yeah.
I give him a round.
Yeah. I actually thought, and look, it's my boys on comms, but I thought they were a bit generous as well to Yafai because I thought he was getting lit up badly in that fight. To the point where, and this is the thing with the lower weight classes, not many lower weight class guys have that one punch KO power, right? I mean, unless you're Inoue coming up or Prince Nassim Hamed many moons ago, you are going the distance. And the only thing that I thought could help him is if he carried that punch power to stop this kid. Because it was almost like a rash.
Yeah.
It just went boom, and there was nothing he could do. He couldn't get away from the punches.
Nope.
He couldn't slip, he couldn't slide, nothing.
He was on him like a bad smell. And the problem with these weight divisions is, say like it was a middleweight, you'd be thinking, he's going to tire out eventually. Yeah. They don't get tired. They can set that pace and they can throw those punches, 12 rounds, and then they are just, they can go for a jog straight after. So I knew when I was seeing, I was like, Yafai has nothing to keep him off with. He's the better boxer. You could see the technique was better. Yeah. But it was like, this guy is just throwing, for every one shot Yafai throws, this guy's coming with 4 or 5. Rodriguez was just not letting off. And Yafai couldn't set himself. He couldn't get his boxing together. And he was getting hurt in there. I mean, he was down in round 12. I thought he was very lucky. I think it was round 7 not to have a knockdown called against him in that round. It was a knockdown.
It's a knockdown.
It was a knockdown.
Yeah, you can almost tell it was a knockdown by the way in which you got up.
Exactly.
That was the indicator. Like, okay, you're clearly hurt and you got knocked down. And the ref, obviously, look, hometown cooking, isn't it? The ref gave him a bit of help there. There's always this debate and argument about sort of amateur and pros, right? The Mexicans don't do amateur.
Nope.
They turn over straight away to feed their family, basically, right? It's just to get money. They will turn over at 15 just to get the money. And obviously, Brits, and I guess the outlier in this is the fact that you see Usyk and Loma who have long, extensive amateur careers. But I do wonder if there is a shut-off time for how long you should stay amateur. GALAL stayed amateur basically till he was nearly 30.
Yeah,
and he's almost stayed amateur too long.
Well, there you go. I mean, like, if you think of it, it's like a job, right? Say you stay in a job for 10 years and then you go to another one. It could be the similar thing, but you're just so embedded into the structure of the old company, you're like, well, what do I do here? How do I get used to this? It's the same. Amateur and pro are completely different. Canelo was 15 when he turned pro.
Yeah.
All he knew is the pro style, throw a lot of shots, hard punches, quality over quantity. The amateur style is completely different.
Yeah, it's almost hit and do not get hit.
Exactly.
It's almost tippy-tappy scoring, isn't it?
The weirdest thing is, right, you can get some really good amateurs, Alexander Usyk, Vasily Lomachenko, but I think a lot of the guys who do well as pro, like David Haye springs to mind. I remember him saying stories when he was an amateur and he would be trying to punch hard. They'd be saying, don't do that. That's not how you win amateur fights. It's like, yeah, he's practicing for the pros. Yeah. They don't do enough of that in the amateur gyms, I don't think.
Yeah. GALAL Yafai 32. Obviously, it was a bad defeat as well. There were times when I thought Rob McCracken was going to throw the towel.
That's what I was thinking.
There was that. It didn't happen. I get it. He's unbeaten. He's at home. if he won that, he's fighting for a world title. I can understand the reasons to not throw it in, but he did take a bit of a beating. What happens next? And don't say put a fork in him.
No, I'm not going to say that. But what I will say is that a fight like that will age you. And a fighter who's already 32 for a flyweight, I think that, what do you do? Because if you think about it like this, where he's 32, move up in weight, how much filling out is he going to do at 32 to go up to 115 pounds? Where we saw Chocolatito, one of the greatest of all time. Once he started going up in the weights, he started struggling a bit more and getting beat. Down. So I would say stick a flyweight. But when I look at some of the guys like Ken Shearer, he's the #1 in the division. That's a hard ask, and he's younger.
This is I guess the issue for Galal is Galal's dreams. Everyone's dreams turning pro is different, right? Galal's dreams as an Olympic gold medalist is to win a world title.
Exactly.
He now knows the level. He knows, okay, well, if that's the level just below world championship, where am I right now? So it's back to the drawing board, but you can't go that far back because, again, you're 32. If he was 26, I'd say, you know what, there's a lot you can do. You can take a year out. You can maybe even think of switching trainers, whatever, right? Look at your style. At 32, you are what you are.
Yeah.
You are what you are. Your trainer's your trainer. And I guess you've almost just got to dust yourself down and go in again straight away. As soon as you can, go in again.
You basically just have to, grab the bull by the horn at this stage because he is 32 years old, as you say, can't just drop it down. You can't go down to the level you were fighting even before you fought Sonny Edwards. You have to just be like, right, this is where I am. I got to get here. I don't have time to, hopefully take one step back for 2 steps forward. I just got to get going forward. Yeah,
I think if I'm Eddie, if I'm Rob McCracken, I don't know who his manager is. I don't know who that is. You look at the next man down just below Francisco Rodriguez, you go in with that guy.
Yeah, you literally do.
You literally have to say, you know what, it is what it is, go on with that guy.
We think about it like this, isn't that what Frank Warren did with Danny Dubois? He lost to Alexander Usyk, we're going there with Jared Miller.
It's a good shout.
There you go. And that's younger, but he was just like, look, you got to prove yourself, go on and do it. And he did it. Yeah. So that could actually be the
good shout, actually. It's one thing we always talk about with AJ, and this isn't an AJ video by any stretch, but it's what we say about AJ, isn't it? Like, don't go too far down.
Yeah.
At AJ's age, and I guess Galal's comparable in terms of age, just go in there, just see it, find out.
See what you can do. What's the word? You've already lost. What's the worst case scenario? You lose again, and then at least you know. And then you go in there, you win. You're like, right, new lease of life. Let's go. Let's see what we can do.
Yeah, indeed. All right, let's get to the juicy part.
Yeah,
the meat on the bone, if you like. Canelo Crawford. I think by the time this comes out on Friday evening, this is actually going to come out on Friday evening. I think the third presser would have been done. But we've had 2 press conferences, one in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, one in New York. I think the idea of doing it in New York in that Fanatics Fest is perfect. Makes so much sense. New eyeballs. The one in Riyadh didn't really do anything. It was very humble, very nice. We saw the image of them having dinner the night before.
Yeah.
Useless. The one in New York, however,
fiery.
Maybe because it's New York and there was like public there, that one turned. Yeah, that one turned both of them a bit evil.
That one was the entertaining one. Yeah. That was the one we were talking about. That's the one where like, yes, we're sold on it now. You've seen the shove. Canelo mentioning Crawford's resume and stuff like that. It was like, yeah.
WWE or real the shove?
I've got to say WWE.
A bit WWE.
I think it was.
Okay.
I think it was.
You know why I thought it wasn't?
Really?
The reason I thought it wasn't is that I can't imagine anyone telling Canelo to do that and Canelo saying, okay. I don't like... I know you might say Turkey's got hundreds of millions and he probably... I can't imagine Turkey going up to Canelo and saying, okay, we need something here. Canelo will be like, no. Tell him to do it. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, that's a good point.
This is Canelo we're talking about. This is one of the biggest names in the history of this sport being told to somehow create some drama that isn't there.
Right, I would say that's a good point, but he did have kind of a cheeky little kind of grin on after it. And I was kind of like, if you really were someone up in your space and shove, you're not going to have a little kind of cheeky, grin on. So that's why I'm thinking it was more on the WWE. Maybe Nick Khan had had a word and said, do you know what would be great here? Since, TKO, all that. Yeah. So that's what I'm thinking on that. I'm sticking by WWE.
Okay, it's interesting. Okay, but they had a little push and a shove in a way. The crowd went wild. It did what it needed to do. And all of a sudden, 10 more million are going to watch it on Netflix. But the main talking point was actually an interview with Shaq, Tom Brady, Dana White, Canelo Crawford, which was done 3 months ago, where Canelo brings up the resume of Terence Crawford and says, okay, name one person, one elite fighter that you've been in the ring with. And for some odd reason, Crawford says Victor Postal first. Oh, wow. Bear in mind, he's been in there, Errol Spence, Sean Porter, whatever. He says Victor Postal. And Canelo shoots that down immediately. Canelo's like, who? And what makes me laugh, only Canelo, of all fighters active today, obviously Manny Pacquiao's not active, but we're not going to count. Canelo's the only one that could say who about Victor Postal, because Victor Postal is actually a good fighter.
Very good fighter.
But clearly not an elite fighter.
No.
No.
A very good fighter.
Very good.
They fought in a unification.
Yeah, dude, he bust up Lucas Matisse before he beat up Crawford.
Yep.
Like maybe Victor Postal was on his way to elite, but just met Crawford.
He met Terence Crawford, and we all know what happened there. Surely Errol Spence is the first name that comes to mind when you think of elite Crawford. That is elite.
The problem is Crawford's poo-pooed on... Crawford's poo-pooed on Spence a few times. Like, he wasn't that good. So I'm like, in the back of his mind, maybe that was the thinking. Like, I've already said so much shit about this guy that maybe I can't then say he's elite. But Spence is clearly an elite fighter.
Errol Spencer's no ifs or buts. I mean, he beat Kell Brook, for God's sakes. He beat Kell Brook, Sean Porter, beat him, and who else did he beat? He's beat Ugas, Danny Garcia. Yeah. Like, no one else beat him. He beat the brakes off him.
Hey, look, dude, he was unbeaten as he fought Errol Spence. Sorry, Terence Crawford. He was unbeaten. Yeah.
And it was a 50-50 fight going in. Obviously, it didn't turn out that way in the night. But maybe as you say, that's what it is. Spence was, and that wasn't the Errol Spence.
That's what it is.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And maybe he just thinks it was so easy. And because bear in mind, Postal was the last guy to go the distance with Crawford until he fought Madrimov.
Yeah.
So maybe
that's my thinking with it as well. So when Terence Crawford said Postal, he's probably thinking, who did I fight that at the time of fighting them was still very, very there. So no ifs, no buts, no damage was there. And maybe he's thinking Kell Brook was done, Errol was done, Sean, it was his last fight. So maybe that's why Victor Postal came to his mind first, because that was the one fighter that was legit
and he was
number 2 at 140 pounds at the time.
Unbeaten at the time, legit number 2. It does make you kind of stop and look at the resume. And look, it's a great resume, but you do look and think, compare it to Canelo is like, apples and oranges. Canelo's resume is just elite, whereas the list just stretches down to the end of the room.
Yeah.
Whereas Crawford, you kind of have to, as we say, we have to make arguments and say, well, but this and this and this. Exactly.
It's Finn. If we're being honest, I mean, I feel sorry for Crawford because there was a time when he could have filled his boots by fighting Danny Garcia, fighting Sean when he should have fought Sean, fighting Yordenis Ugas, fighting Manny Pacquiao, fighting Errol Spence, but he couldn't get the fights. And he would have beaten all those guys. He would have beaten all of them guys, but he couldn't get the fights.
He was with Top Rank, they were PBC. Yeah. There was those issues. It just was what it was.
What is, because he also kind of scoffed, did Canelo at Ricky Burns, a freeweight world champion. What's elite then? Like what is an elite? Can I just chuck some names at you and you tell me elite or not?
Okay.
Yeah, elite or not. Jamel Charlo.
No.
So even though he was undisputed at 154 pounds, that doesn't make you elite?
I don't think so. I think you have to take into consideration who you're beating in the division at the time. Okay. He lost to Tony Harrison, avenged a rematch, but Tony Harrison, what has he done since? Literally nothing. He beat, I can't even remember his name now, but his nickname was Banana or something like that. He beat him to unify. He's not done anything since. And then it was Brian Castano or someone like that. Again, I thought he lost the first fight. I thought he lost that. And then he beats him again. What's Brian Castano done?
Okay.
You have to,
let me just run through some names very quickly. David Hay.
No. Wow, no, a cruiserweight, yeah. No, a cruiserweight, yeah, not at heavyweight.
Okay. Right, AJ.
In his, is he an elite win? Yes.
Elite, okay.
Yeah, I will say elite.
Sure?
Yes,
I'm sure. Okay.
I'm sure.
This is interesting. I just find it interesting because I don't know what classes. Okay, David Benavidez, right now.
Right now?
Yeah, right now.
Elite?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. It's an interesting debate because I'm like, what? Because someone put up on Twitter the other day, like, what makes an elite fighter then? Is it being a world champion? Is it being a multiple world champion? Is it being a multi-weight world champion? Or are we talking about elite is the very, very best?
I think it's the total package of everything, right? Because if you think about it like this, we were calling Crawford elite when he was at 140. No disrespect. He unified and became undisputed against Julius Ndongo. But you could see just the gulf of class.
Okay.
You were like,
so there isn't one
elite.
obvious answer. You're right. You almost have to individually look at what they've done.
Exactly.
Look at the fights. When did they fight them? What belt did they pick up? Who was the champion at the time? Blah. You're right. There is no one set resume for who's elite.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that's how you can answer that question. Crawford is elite. Yeah. Make no mistake about that. He is absolutely elite, as is Canelo. Yeah. So that's why I look forward to this. But when you, again, but you're right, when you do look at the resume, it is a little bit thin on the surface.
No, dude, it's ridiculously thin.
It is ridiculously thin.
Especially if you're comparing it to Canelo's. I mean, there's no one alive. I'm sorry, no one active right now. Apart from Manny Pacquiao in a few weeks that has got a resume like
Yes,
like
unfortunately.
Canelo's resume is ridiculous. Who wins? Who are you going for? I know we're going early here. We're shooting our shots early. Who are you going
No,
for?
we're shooting shots. I've been consistent on this. Canelo wins.
Okay.
Probably on points. I just think that the size difference is going to be too much. And I think that if you think about it like this, Crawford, he moves, but he's not going to do a Williams skull. He's going to give Canelo chances to open up. And I just, like, against Madrimov did a lot of good things, and Crawford looked small in there. Canelo was 2-3 times the size.
Okay.
I think there's only so much you can do. As good as he is, I just don't see it.
Okay, that will make the win even more spectacular if he does.
Oh, if he does, it'd be amazing.
What was interesting, I saw an interview with Terence Crawford. It was doing the rounds in August 2023, and someone asked him about fighting Canelo, and he was like, "Oh no, these guys are way too big."
Really?
That's what he said. This is crazy. So, and that would only, by the time his fight rolls around, that would be only 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he was like, no, way too big. And Dan Rafael kind of made a great point when talking about sizes. Because he said, if you look at them two together now, they look the same size. Mm-hmm. He said, people have got the idea of the size thing wrong. It's not looking at them as a physical package. It's who has absorbed the bigger shots in the weight division. So, and it was good. It was a very good point. He was like, Canelo has been hit by light heavyweights and super middleweights for the best part of a decade.
Basically.
He's so used to taking those shots. Whereas Crawford hasn't. Crawford's been hit by 140 guys and 147 guys for the best part of a decade.
Yeah.
What's Crawford going to be like? So basically, he's trying to say, Canelo could easily absorb Crawford shots. Mm-hmm. Can Crawford easily absorb Canelo's punches?
If you're taking shots from Triple G, Sergei Kovalev, Dmitry Bivol, and you're staying on your feet, not getting hurt,
not even getting wobbled.
Not even getting wobbled, just literally shaking it off.
Yeah.
You can take Terence Crawford shots.
100%.
Right? I don't know.
Might be the speed, though. It might be the speed.
Yeah. But, and Crawford he's never shown a bad chin, but I remember his fight against Gamboa.
Yeah, I remember his fight against Kavialaskas.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he was down. They didn't call that a knockdown.
Yeah.
It was a knockdown. Now, you're not going to tell me that they hit harder than Canelo. You're not just going to tell me that.
Dude, I don't know.
You're not going to tell me that. I'm making you take. Well, yeah, that's my pick. You didn't give yours. Come on. Have I changed your mind? Were you going to say Crawford and now all of a sudden you're thinking about it?
I've always said Crawford.
Okay.
I've always said Crawford. He's unbeaten. Unbeaten fighters don't know how to lose. They always seem to find a way. It's the Mayweather thing, right? But that presser and the way in which Canelo was so disparaging towards him makes me feel like Canelo's just waiting for this.
Oh, like he's candy for a baby.
I'm going to destroy you. Like, you're going to realize what jumping up 20 pounds really is all about. Yeah. And that's what, and even though they say Crawford's the boxer, I'm like, Canelo can box.
Oh, he can.
This ain't no boxer puncher. This isn't Roy Jones moving up to fighting Ruiz at heavyweight.
Yeah, he was a plotter.
Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. This is a guy that can still box. My only reservations is watching Canelo against William Skull, where Canelo looked like he was in quicksand.
He did look like he was in quicksand.
I'm trying to say to myself, it was in Saudi. It was at like 6 a.m. or some crazy time.
Crazy time.
No audience. You know, was he really up for it? That's my thing.
He knew get through this fight, and I've got Crawford. He's in a country he's never fought in before. It's not going to be the atmosphere he's used to. He's in there against someone moving. He's probably thinking, I'm fighting in September. Yeah. Just get through it. I'm going to win this fight. Just don't do anything that's going to jeopardize this fight. And that's what he did. Now, he did look so-footed.
Yeah, really I can't wait for it. Honestly, I can't wait for it, guys. As you guys know, September 13th, and it's the Allegiant Stadium, the Raiders Stadium, which I think is about 80,000 capacity. It's going to be crazy. Very quickly, to wrap up that, we don't know the undercard yet, but there's a lot of talk about both big babies finally meeting. So I'm talking about Big Baby Miller and obviously Jared Big Baby Anderson. Good fight, not good fight.
Interesting fight.
Fight to determine, I guess, who the number one heavyweight in America is.
Yeah, no, actually, that's a good point. Yeah. You only said it there because Wilder's not in that contest. Not even close.
So this is it, Yeah,
the battle of the big babies. Yeah. Who is the number one big baby? Who is the number one in the US?
Yeah. Which gives it a bit more little sprinkle of magic dust on it.
It absolutely does, and they'd have beef because they would have beef with that.
Dude. I did the presser for Crawford Madrimov, and they were both on the card. Remember, Big Baby Miller fought Ruiz, and the other Big Baby fought Bacoli, and they were going at each other. Forget going at their opponents; they were going at each other. So yeah, this is it's very risky. You're killing off Anderson here. You've got to be careful. I mean, you know, he didn't look great on his comeback fight after
No, he certainly didn't.
And now you want to put him with a guy that's going to be outweighing him by 100 pounds. You've got to be careful.
Well, that's why I'm just so confused with how they've done Anderson over the last year. I mean, he fought Charles Martin 2 years ago, and they pulled the brakes on him a bit. And they were right to do that.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you're matching him fine. Let's just put him with Bacoli. Like, what? So he gets stopped by Bacol. He doesn't look good back in February. And now we're talking about putting him with Big Baby. It's like, have we not learned our lessons yet? He is still quite young.
Yeah, I think he's 25.
Yeah, so I was like, have we not learned our lessons from the last time? Bacoli he's different. He's a bigger puncher, whereas Big Baby Miller will just come at you nonstop relentlessly.
Yeah, he'll rough you up.
He'll rough you up big
time.
It's a different kind of pressure, if you know what I mean.
He might outman him as well.
That's
he
what
might
I'm
look
thinking.
at Jared Anderson as a kid. Whereas, Jerome Miller must be about 36, 37. So you might think, I'm just going to outman you.
And Anderson isn't Daniel Dubois. He doesn't have that. He's not feather fisted, but he is not going to be. He doesn't have that jab, and he doesn't have that just sheer punching power. Where even someone like Big Baby is thinking, "Oh,
it's funny because I actually think Jared Anderson is almost a complete heavyweight, and I mean this respectfully when I say this, but everything's like a 7.
Yeah,
so punch power is a 7, speed is a 7. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where there is no Daniel Dubois might have speed at a 7, but he's got punch power at 10.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's his equalizer.
10 out of 10 punch
10 out of
power.
10 punching power. And I think we all know this is true now. So we'll see. Again, that one likely to be announced, I guess, in about a month's time. The full undercard from it. Christian and Bealey linked to be on it. So many others linked to be on it. Deontay Wilder fights this weekend. This isn't necessarily about Deontay Wilder because we've spoken about him at length to death. You've done so many videos on your channel. Go and check out G-Man's channel, by the way. The link is in the description. This is about his trainer.
Yes.
We spoke about it. I did mention I didn't see Malik anywhere in his camp. Malik's in Croatia doing his thing with his wife. I was like, okay, so who's training him? Both of them now finally announced that they have split. And I'm like, okay, so who's training Deontay Wilder? Because I don't see Mark Breland anywhere either.
Yeah, that's the $1 million question. That's the $1 million question. Who is training Deontay Wilder? Listen, don't know Malik Scott personally. Seems like a cool guy, but I never thought they worked together well. I'm thinking, right, if he is taking this comeback serious, which he should, if he really wants to be serious, this is a step in the right direction. But who are you going to get? I mean, no disrespect to his opponent, Terrell Herden. Yeah. He could probably have no one in the corner and probably still win. Seriously, if he just lets the right hand go, he's probably going to win. But he needs to have the right corner man because I think Wilder, he needs one voice in the corner. He needs someone to just tell him out straight, this isn't going well. This is what you're good at. That's it. And
so weird with boxing, isn't it? Boxing's the one sport, unlike any other sport, that you will go, say you have 40 fights as a pro, which is kind of the average amount for fights as a pro. Your first 35 fights are with the same guy. Yeah. Right at the end, you switch trainers like that. It's all over the place. I mean, AJ is a great example. Rob McCracken for 90% of his career. And then since then, we've seen 4 trainers, I believe, in total since then.
Yeah, about
it's kind of crazy, isn't it? How it works. Yeah.
It is crazy. And I think that with some fighters, one trainer just works fine for them. You know, Manny Stewart, Tommy Hearns, people like that. But with some, it's apparent from the start, you're like, this isn't gelling. This isn't vibing. So you're going to have to change it up. He spent the first 30, 40 fights with Mark Breland. Yeah. He's now had the last couple with Malik Scott. I don't think it's worked a treat, to be honest, which I really don't. So I'm interested to see who he does bring in. But the question is, who is going to be training for this fight? Is it going to be JD?
Honestly, dude, it's almost secret. It makes me wonder if it's this is like a Ben Davis and Tyson Fury thing, where he's gone into a gym, he's seen someone hit the pads, and thought, okay, we can do something. Because I remember when Ben Davis and Tyson Fury, it almost again came from nowhere.
Yeah, no one knew who he was.
No one knew who Ben was. This was almost like Ben's announcement to the world, and obviously Ben's gone on to do incredible things. Then, so I do wonder if Wilder's almost, I don't know, found someone in his local gym, someone he's comfortable with, someone that brings out the best. Because it doesn't, at this stage of Wilder's career, being 40, you don't have to try and find Manny Stewart.
No.
Do you know what I mean? You just need to find someone that can mentally tell you to let that bloody right hand go, and that's it.
And Malik Scott is a very soft-spoken guy. He's very mellow.
Very technical.
Very technical.
Very technical. And I think that might be the issue. I like Malik a lot, but I wonder if... Don't try and recreate Wilder. Wilder's got that right hand, and that's it. Don't try and turn Wilder into Ali. It's just, it ain't going to happen.
In the nicest way, like Malik Scott is someone where you'd probably want him in like a Tyson Fury corner just to keep it, all technical and all thing. Yeah. With Deontay Wilder, you want John Fury. You want John Fury, literally.
Dude, it's a great shout. You want someone that wants to give him a slap.
Who's literally going to
give him a slap. Teddy Atlas.
Teddy Atlas.
You need someone like that. Just someone that can wake up and bloody throw that hand. You don't need all this, feint to the left, double jab, pivot. No. Throw the right hand.
Yeah, what do I need to do? You can imagine Joffrey, throw that right hand, my son.
That's all you need. That's all you need. Great accent. All right, let's talk to, let's pivot to the best heavyweight in the world, one of the best heavyweights ever for me, and that's Alexander Usyk. And we got random news the other day that Alexander Usyk and Alex Krassyuk are split. Neither have released a statement.
Yeah.
Both of them have collaborated on the same post on Instagram, which tells me that they're okay with each other. It's not one of those crazy ones where in about 9 months' time they're going to be in the court trying to fight over stuff. It's strange. The timing's strange. I've met Krassyuk with Usyk, and they're like that.
Yeah.
I mean, Krassyuk was the guy that was doing all his... Like every time Usyk couldn't or didn't feel comfortable speaking English, he was translating. He's defended him. He literally stood in front of anyone that wants to fight Usyk at presses or whatever. Now he's gone.
He was at the Ring Awards show. He was at the Dubois Usyk kickoff press conference in Wembley.
Yeah.
It's like, so that told me he was fully intent on being part. It was so strange because it's not like you hear stories about Krassyuk and Usyk that they literally look like two friends who work together.
Yeah.
And to hear this, it's like, when I heard it, it's just so out of left field. It does kind of insinuate, just judging by the Instagram posts and stuff, that it's mutual, it's respectful. There was no like animosity or anything like that. So I'd be very surprised if we hear something. But it is just very strange.
You know what's strange? The timing.
As literally took the words out of my mouth.
The timing.
3 weeks before one of the biggest fights of your career, I don't know. I really don't know what to say on that.
Yeah. I think this is the thing. Like, everyone's making videos. I've seen you've done a video. I've done a video. And we don't have answers. No. We're basically making videos almost really on nothing because no one really knows what's going on because it's the funniest and craziest split. My thoughts on it, and again, I could be so left field here, is that Usyk is kind of done as well.
That's what I think.
And it's almost a case of, okay, this is going to be your last fight anyway. He's probably helped him make the fight, get his percentage. He might even be there. But it's almost a case of this is it. Our thing is over. We've run its course. Or maybe, and again, pure speculation, Krassyuk was like, dude, no more. Like, you've done it all. You've become undisputed cruiserweight. You've become undisputed heavyweight. You've made more money than you ever thought you were going to make. Enough is enough. And Usyk's like, no, I want one more with Fury. I want one more with AJ. And Krassyuk's like, okay, well, then I can't be part of it.
See, that
sounds a bit like Hollywood movie, but you know what I mean?
That's what I thought that myself, but then I was thinking, well, hang on a minute. Krassyuk, has to eat as well. And if Usyk carries on fighting, Krassyuk carries on getting paid. So does the friendship, if it's your scenario, is the friendship and Usyk's basically legacy more important to Krassyuk than money in that scenario?
Yeah. Maybe so. Maybe Krassyuk's like, dude, I've made more money than I can ever think as well. Yeah. Honestly, maybe it is that. One thing we don't take into consideration with these guys, they've all got families. Yeah. And the amount of times Krassyuk has to leave the family, maybe look what's going on in Ukraine as well. Maybe that's playing a part in his decision, right? I mean, countries at war. Having to leave and come back, and if he comes back, how easy it's going to be. Yeah, exactly. You've no idea what happens. But look, hopefully it doesn't affect the great Alexander Usyk. July 19th is just around the corner. I don't think it will. Nothing seems to penetrate that mind of his. I still think it's going to be an incredible fight. We both will do our predictions properly. We'll do it on this channel like a proper prediction video. But for now, you guys know where I'm leaning. I'm leaning Alexander Usyk, baby. So am I. I mean, I love my Daniel Dubois, but Alexander Usyk is Alexander Usyk. All right, so much more to get through very quickly. Jake Paul fights this weekend against Julio Cesar Chavez. I've been told it's Chavez, not Chavez. Chavez, yes. I've been, a few South Americans have reached out to me and said, Ade, stop saying Chavez, it's Chavez. Julio Cesar Chavez. Yeah. I don't know what he's doing, Chavez. I don't know if he's training. I don't know if he's... he had an alcohol problem. He said he's been sober 18 months. I'd like to believe that's the case, but I don't know. So would I. He lost 4 years ago to Anderson Silva. Yeah. That I can't get that out of my mind. Yeah. And that's an ancient Anderson Silva. Yeah. And by the way, that's an Anderson Silva that doesn't box. That's an Anderson Silva that's an MMA fighter. That's an MMA fighter. A retired at the time MMA fighter. So a retired MMA fighter is not a boxer, is beating you over points 4 years ago. It's not leaving me with a lot of optimism that he's going to be able to pull this one off. And by process of elimination, it doesn't work like this. But Jake Paul fought Anderson Silva and beat him. He did. Yeah, so you're fighting the guy who beat you, and that guy beat that guy. Yeah, that makes any sense. Yeah. Literally. I mean, styles make fights, I guess, at the end of the day. But man, Jake Paul, he should win this fight. The question is literally how little. I'm not going to say how much. How little is left in the tank for Chavez Jr. I do think we're quite. I think we're quite tough on Jake, And the reason I say this is Jake's had, 10 fights, 11 fights? I don't know 10 fights, yeah. If his name wasn't Jake Paul and this was his 10th fight, fighting a former world champion, you'd say that this is great matchmaking.
Yeah, if it wasn't...
Like, this is what a normal pro would do.
Oh, yeah.
In your 10th fight, you either fight journeyman, right? Fact, you're still fighting journeyman.
Or faded contenders.
Or you're fighting faded contenders.
Yeah.
Or faded champions. Julio Cesar Chavez is a faded champion. But for some reason, Jake's getting stick for taking this fight. I'm like, 1 second, but that's what guys in their 10th pro fight do. Yep. Maybe because it's on pay-per-view, doesn't help. Maybe because he's selling at arenas, he's got a big name, he's loud, he wants I'm going to fight Canelo. Dude, this guy was going to fight Canelo. This was supposed to be Canelo.
Literally. That was not any...
Think about this. This was supposed to be Canelo.
This was the Canelo fight. This was Canelo leading to Crawford. He was going to fight
Do you know how crazy
Crawford.
that is?
I know.
Then when you think about that, actually, he was supposed... Jake Paul was going to fight Canelo. It's crazy anyway. But how does this one play out, you think?
I think Jake Paul... Do you know what I've noticed about Jake Paul? The more he's been stepping up, the more he's been not letting his hands go.
Yeah.
Because he knows, right, these guys are a little bit more dangerous than the Ben Askarins and the Tyron Woodleys.
They read it. They read all the shimmies, the little feints. They read it and they know when you're going to throw. When they know that you're going to throw, they throw.
Yeah. So he's been a lot more circumspect about letting the big shots go. So I'd say he's probably going to go to points. But Chavez Jr., man, I've seen him look terrible when he was in his prime. 10 years ago, 12 years ago. Yeah. So I wouldn't even rule out. I mean, my guy quit against Danny Jacobs.
Yeah. But he's difficult to stop, though.
He is difficult.
One thing that Chavez has is his dad's chin. Like, he's difficult to stop. And I do wonder, can he take Jake down the stretch where I see Jake gas? Jake's heavy.
Very.
Jake's put on more size than he really should be carrying. And I do wonder if maybe Chavez could get to him late. But I'm going Jake. Obviously, I'll be shocked if Jake doesn't win, but...
Jake, 110%.
Okay. Zurdo versus Dorticos.
Now, that's an interesting one. Yeah. That's a great fight.
Yeah.
Dorticos is one of the biggest punchers in the cruiserweight division. He's one of the most exciting in the cruiserweight division. I don't think Zurdo will have faced a puncher like this his pro career, because this guy can really bang. Yeah. Remember he knocked out Andrew Dubois with one shot a couple of years ago? That was a horrible knockout.
That was scary. Yeah, no, that's a very good point, actually, because I think a lot of people are sleeping on Dorticos in this one. Everyone's already like, Zurdo Opetaia. I was like, 1 second, he's got to get through Dorticos.
Yeah.
And Dorticos doesn't joke.
He does not joke. The KO doctor.
Yeah. And he's bigger than Zurdo.
Much bigger.
Much bigger.
He's been a cruiserweight his whole career.
Yeah.
He turned pro at that. Zurdo, super middleweight world champion.
How on earth we're sitting here today and Jai had that awful fight, not Jai's fault, but the opponent awful, and Zurdo's fighting Dorticos. Why have we not got Jai versus Zurdo? Like, what's going on? I even asked Oscar this as well. I said, Oscar, if Zurdo wins, are we going to do Jai? And he kind of went around the houses. I'm like,
no.
What's going on, dude? Like, surely that's it.
No, we have to. Like, that's the whole purpose. They're the two, number one and number two in the division. It has to happen.
You know what the problem is? We love Jai.
We do love Jai.
Zurdo's a big-ish name. The issue is, it almost is a fight that relies on the back end of Turkey for both of those guys to get what they want.
Yes.
Because they're going to want pay-per-view money, because you basically, it's the unification fight, right? I know Badu Jack's out there over top, but this is everything, really.
This is the one.
And I almost feel like they're going to want pay-per-view money, yet we know it's not a pay-per-view fight.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
no,
I think that's the issue. There's just not enough money to make it without Turkey's influence.
Yeah, it does. You took the words from there. It needs a Turkey influence. It needs to be either headlining a show in Saudi, or it needs to be on the undercard of a big show in Saudi. Otherwise, it's likely this fight won't happen, because Jay Opetaia is going to want big money, because he's going to be like, I'm the number one in the division. Everyone is, afraid of me. I'm the guy. I'm the guy in this division. I beat Burritos. Zurdo was like, well, hang on, I've got the two belts. I've beaten CBS. I've beaten Aldi. I've beaten Gunnar. I've now beaten Dorticos. If he wins on Saturday, I'm the guy. Yeah, you need Turkey, the mediator, to come in and say, what do you both want?
Yeah, I think not looking past Dorticos at all, because again, he's a puncher and he could sleep Zurdo. Yeah. But I think Zurdo versus Opetaia is a fantastic fight. I really do. Like, as much as I think Jai is frightening and scary, we saw when he stepped in there against a guy that was still very good in Bradis.
Yeah.
We saw he struggled with Bradis twice. Now we've seen it twice.
Bradis retired.
Yeah.
Straight after that.
There you go.
So,
don't get me wrong, Jai will clean the boots of anyone that's below that elite level. We're talking about elite level. He'll destroy anyone. But we haven't seen him destroy an elite level guy yet. Zurdo, I think, if he beats Dorticos, is an elite level fighter.
I think
that's
so
what I want
too.
to see.
I think so too. And I think that fight, some people say like, oh, Jai will right Dorticos. No, he won't. No. He may do many things. He may, knock people like Elazar out in one shot. He ain't doing that to Zurdo Ramirez. No way.
No, he's not. He's probably not doing that to Dorticos.
No.
Do you know what I mean? No. That's the levels. That's the levels. Have you been watching or paying close attention to this Brian Norman, Devin Haney situation. It almost looks as though, I don't know if you saw, but Brian Norman Sr. and Bill Haney were on a call. It got stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, they were saying all sorts that I can't hear. You know, guys, I like to swear, but even I don't like to swear that much. It was scary. I feel like we might be moving into that, though. I feel like they've started the hype for it because obviously Devin wanted to fight Ryan lost. Devin wanted to fight Tio wanted too much money. And now I think the next one down is Brian Norman. The scary thing for me, if you're Devin, this could be the most dangerous one.
I took the words
This
in
is
my mouth.
the danger. So in terms of risk reward, the risk is so high. The reward is actually lower to fighting him financially anyway. Yeah, he's got a world title, but financially it's very risky.
The Devin I seen in Times Square ran around the ring and he looked petrified, right? He looked petrified of Ramirez. Brian Norman Jr. is a lot better. He's young. He's younger than Devin.
Yeah, that Brian Norman's 24.
Yeah, so he's a little bit younger than Devin.
I think 2 years.
He's a good boxer. We frightening power in the left hook. Frightening.
Like a truck.
Did you hear that fighter said he can't remember like the last 2 weeks?
Can't remember what happened, 6 weeks.
6 weeks, that was it.
Says he can't remember 6 weeks prior to the fight. He's okay now. Brian Norman, I spoke to Brian. Brian the other day said they're messaging each other. And now all of a sudden he's gone back in the gym and he's hitting pads, that guy.
But still, that shows.
What does a punch do to your brain where you can't remember 6 weeks prior?
I don't even want to think about it. I hope I never find out.
That's actually scary. Yeah.
I seen the quote because I knew it was a savage knockout. I was like, whoa, that's even worse than I thought. Him against Devin Haney, man, I would have no faith whatsoever in Devin, and especially considering the fact that Turkey's been mentioning no Mickey Mouse or Tom and Jerry, no running around the ring. Like Devin did run. Yeah, that Times Square show.
I think Devin needed that fight. You know, I think Devin needed that just to get rid of everything. Like mentally, I have no idea what it must feel like, but mentally knowing that. Before fighting Ryan, he's had a few wobbles, Devin. You know, but he's won all his fights, right? It must be difficult knowing that you got put on your backside 3 times. So for mentally, it was like, let me just get through this, and he got through it. Ryan didn't get through his opponent, so he might argue and say, at least I won. And I know he's getting a lot of stick, and I like Devin. So you know what, my thing about Devin, and this is why I don't like that he gets stick. Fight anyone.
No, he would.
Fight anyone. Genuinely. I mean, look, he's gone from Ryan to Tio. I'll fight you, Tio. Who else? Brian Norman. He'll fight anyone.
And think about this. It's not Devin Haney who's messing all these fights up. If it's Ryan lost, Teofimo Lopez being Teofimo Lopez, we won't go there. And now we've mentioned Brian Norman Jr., so Devin Haney's not afraid. Yeah. You say what you want to say about he runs. Well, he's not afraid. He just runs from fighters.
Yeah, no, indeed. I hope it happens. We'll see. One thing Brian did say on that call that I was on with him as well, I asked him about the Jared Ennis thing. I said, clear up this Boots Ennis thing. He said, look, Ade, have you not realised that so many people right now are booking fights before they had their fight? He said, and look what's happening. Ryan and Devin was booked and then Ryan loses. He mentioned quite a bunch of fights. He said, Eddie reached out to me prior to going to Japan and said, would you be interested in fighting Boots? He said, yes, but let me get past my fight first and then I can focus on Boots. And then he said, all of a sudden he woke up and Boots has gone to 154 pounds. So he said, that's not me ducking. That's me saying clearly, I just want to focus on my fight. And then once that fight is over, and then we can go to the table. And he said, all of a sudden, Boots is saying he's tight at the weight. He said, Boots looks his best like he's ever looked in his most recent fight.
Literally took the words in my mouth there. And he's right, because we've seen it too often, you know, fighter A is planning on fighting fighter B after he gets by fighter C, he doesn't get by him. And Boots Ennis literally take that rehydration clause out of the way with the IBF, look brilliant against Danny Onis. And you're thinking, okay, he's got a new lease of life here. Okay, where's he gone? 154? If he'd struggled and he still looked laboured, I'd be saying, yeah, fair enough, but he didn't. So that's an interesting one.
It is interesting. And look, that was my first time actually hearing Brian Norman speak or talking to him. He's got a little something about him, you know.
He does, doesn't he?
Brian Norman's got a little something about him. Again, he's only 24. No one talks about him as the future of American boxing for some weird reason. I don't know. Again, that's down to Top Rank, by the way. Top Rank and promotion needs to really fix up, by the way. I don't know what's going on with Top Rank, but they've got so many good young fighters. They should be promoting the hell out of them. And they don't know what they're doing. Obviously, Top Rank have no idea. Well, I guess they do, but we don't know where they're going to go. That ESPN deal is done in like a month.
Well, there you go. Yeah. I mean,
who Top Rank signing with?
Well, we haven't heard anything. We haven't, like, Boxer Sky, they're gone. Now, same with Top Rank. You're like, well, where are these fighters got to get out?
That's quite an interesting thing. I didn't even think about that. Like, we shouldn't. You know, some people are like, oh, Boxer have lost their deal with Sky and ESPN and Top Rank. We shouldn't be happy that the biggest broadcasters in the world are leaving boxing. No, that isn't a thing to celebrate. Like, isn't a thing to celebrate that Sky Sports have decided enough's enough. It isn't a thing to celebrate that ESPN have decided, Showtime, HBO, like the biggest networks have said no more to boxing.
Not only the biggest networks, but networks who've been in the sport for decades.
Yeah.
Older than probably before me and you were born.
Of course.
Like, that's a bad thing. That's not good.
It's not good, is
they
it?
say, time for change. What the change, as in the biggest of the biggest leaving? That's not good. That's not good change.
No, it's not great at all. All right, let's talk, and we wrap this now. One of the biggest fights that I've ever seen in terms of delivering and numbers has to be Eubank Benn in April. I mean, it's, honestly, I'm still so angry I didn't work on it. Honestly, just I wake up sweating, sleepless nights dreaming about it. But it looks like
a second chance.
Make it a second chance because there is now talk about the rematch happening. It was always going to happen. Tottenham Stadium again, and where it was the 27th, obviously Tottenham play at home on the 27th.
Yes.
So now Eddie's talking about it going to the 4th of October or the week before on the 20th of September. Before I get your thoughts on the dates, because it doesn't necessarily matter, we're talking a 2-week swing. Do you want to see it again?
No.
Okay.
No, I think it served its purpose. It was 2.5 years in the making. We had a great night. We had a great fight. And it was a great fight. We're still talking about it. You still go back and watch it. You know, if you see Canelo versus Skull, if you need something to, you know, fix the taste in your mouth, you go back and you watch Eubank Benn. But it served its purpose. I think that Chris Eubank Jr. needs to go to 168 pounds. He needs to see what the lay of the land's going to be like there. I know it's, look, 160, you're done. You can't make the weight safely. See what the lay of the land's like at 168 pounds. Sooner or later, those belts are going to get vacated and try and fulfill that potential. And likewise with Conor Benn. I know it's been 3 years, but get back down to welterweight. Right now, we're seeing Brian Norman Jr. and probably Paddy Donovan as the main kind of guys who are coming up. And then you've got like Barrios is fighting Pacquiao, for God's sake.
And then you've got Devon, you've got Ryan, you've got so many.
There's plenty.
I'm with you. And I have to be careful with this because ultimately I want to work on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if it does get announced, I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. I want to work on this event. But I'm with you. It can't be better than the first one.
No, it won't be.
It's almost impossible to outdo the first one.
That was the closest thing to WWE in boxing that you will ever see. You know, it had the egg at the press conference, and then we get to the weigh-in, and we don't know what's going to happen there. Is he making weight? Is he not? And then all of a sudden, you know, the limo arrives, and out comes Chris Eubank Sr.
Don't get me
You
excited.
are never going to top that.
No. That's all well and good, right? That's all fantastic. All those little things you mentioned are fantastic. But then the fight's got to deliver.
And then the fight did deliver.
Yeah. So you can't, like, nothing ever, like, unless they really script it and fake it, and we'll know if it's faked, right? Unless you do all that and you bring in, like, Steven Spielberg to direct it, it isn't going to beat that.
No.
Like, that was the most perfect thing. Like, the X-Slap was just genius. Now, everyone's going to be waiting at the next press, like, what's going to happen? Nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's going to take the steam out of it.
Yeah, of course it does. And as you say, Eubank should not be found at 160.
Nope.
And Ben should be found at 147. And the issue now is that even Ben Shalom was talking about Eubank going up to 168. Sorry, Eubank going up to 168. Ben fighting him at 168. I'm like, did you not see the size difference of them in the ring at 160?
Man weighed in at like literally just over 154 pounds. Yeah. So he's not a middleweight, much less super middleweight.
Yeah.
So
money talks.
It does. That's
money
the
talks.
thing.
And this fight, this is the problem we have. See, as we are, if you put it in a pie chart, right, of hardcore boxing fans that watched and went to the arena or stadium, I would say 15%. 85% were casual boxing fans. They don't give a damn about anything we just said. No. They don't give a damn about the X-Slap and the press conference and the weight cut and the hydration. They're like, yeah, let them fight again. That's all they care about. So as much as we say, no, trust me, the majority of people will still march with their feet and buy the pay-per-view and don't care about anything we just said.
They probably have to, in fact, what we just said there, they probably have to sell it less because it did so well first time. People would be just like, rematch, I'm good. Yeah. Let's go.
And I can't remember, what did they say the pay-per-view did?
Oh,
did it get to like 600-700? Or was it
literally 600 was what came into my mind when you said this. It was a really good buy rate.
Incredible buy rate. I mean, if you're DAZN, that's astounding.
You were sat there like, right, let's get the rematch going.
Honestly, that's astounding numbers. But look, I guess we'll find out about that. Guys, there you go. That's it. Thank you, as always, for tuning in to Ade and Gman. Episode 22 is in the books. We try to squeeze in as much as possible, as we always do.
As we always do. Yeah, we always get a lot into an hour, don't we?
I think so. I think we cram a lot in. We honestly do. Pause. That doesn't sound correct.
You said pause, not me.
Yeah, I did say pause. But guys, look, the usual. Please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment as well. Go to Gman's page. Link is in the description. Subscribe to his page as well. He's on his way to 25,000. I've now passed 80.
I'm saying 80,000, man.
80,000, dude.
You're less than 20k away from 100k. Easily by the end of the year. Easily.
I'm going to have that plaque right there.
Oh,
that subscriber. It's going to make sense as well because the wall's nice and grey. It's just going to like almost just sleep into the wall.
Yeah, literally. You'll have it there and I'll be like, right, someday mine's going to be sat there as well.
Yeah, they should. I feel they should give us one for 50,000. I hate the fact you've got to wait 100,000, and then the next one's 1 million.
You think that for like 50,000, they'll give you like a small plaque,
Just
something tiny that you can
a little
fit in your
paper
pocket.
certificate.
Exactly, just acknowledgement. Well done.
Don't give you that. Don't get. Anyway, guys, we'll see you on the next one.
Champions are not born, they're forged. This is about turning the ordinary into undisputed. Available now. Ade Gman, brought to you by Undisputed.